I mean, with no audio. Anyways. Hey guys, so I'm back. Yeah, I know at first I said I would be unsure if I was doing another video, but a lot of my friends did convince me, and I'm like, okay, if one person is watching, as long as I'm helping one person, then sure. So, let's begin. From now on, we're gonna go section by section instead of one big chapter video. That first one was just again to get everyone on the same page. And if you haven't watched it yet and you struggled through this video, I would recommend you watch the first one. So let's begin. Chapter 1.1 of the Kaplan book is all about naming alkanes, okay? There's a few ways to do it. Step one, we need to find the longest carbon chain. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's look at this. If we name it like this, right? We see that we have 5 carbons there. If we name it like this, well, this chain is 6 carbons long, okay? So this chain here is going to be a better naming. It takes better priority rather because we have 6 carbons instead of 5. So let's erase the gray. So the gray is wrong, okay? When you're naming molecules, please remember that you want to have the longest possible carbon chain. Now you're looking at this and probably saying, okay, great, yay, we did it. But there's also something else you must look at. You see how if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're like, what is the significance of this? Now, in IUPAC nomenclature, we have something called substituents. Those are things that are coming off of a carbon. And you want those to have the lowest number you can give it. So do you see how here, that's a substituent, okay? This is coming off of a carbon. So what is the significance of that? Well, we want that to have the lowest number. So we know that the blue is right and the black is wrong. So let's erase that. So now let's put it all together, right? So now it's like, okay, how do we fully name this molecule? Well, we know that this is called a methyl group, right? If you watched the first video, you would know that. So this is a methyl group. And then we know 6 is hex, okay, in terms of prefixes. And again, if you don't know that, I would recommend you watch the first video. But we know 6 is hex, and we know this is a methyl group, and we know the methyl group is on carbon 3. So when we put it all together, we get 3 methyl hexane, okay? And again, longest carbon, 6 chains, right? So that's where we know that. Root name for 6 is hex, okay? The root name for 6 is hex, and again, this is something that we should just all know by now. And then ane is because it's an alkane, okay? And again, chapter 1.1 is all about naming alkanes, but there's definitely different substituents at the end, right? So let's look at this chart over here. You see, again, right now we're focused on alkanes, and the ending is ane. But the next section is actually alcohols. So when you name alcohols, your ending is going to be OL. Again, we're gonna get through actually all of these as we keep going, but just keep this in mind as you're learning. So that's the general steps of naming alkanes. Find the longest carbon chain, know the root of the name, and then make sure that your substituents are on the lowest carbon. And you always name it with the with just like this, hexane, okay? And alkene always ends in ane. Now, there's something else we have to go over. Now, we're looking at these two molecules, and you're thinking, well, I mean, this doesn't matter, right? Our substituents are always going to be 2 and 4, regardless of the way we count it. So what's the big deal? You need to make sure alphabetical order also matters, okay? You need to make sure that your substituent on the lowest carbon needs to be in alphabetical order. So what do I mean by that? We see this name here is 2-chloral, again, carbon number 2, chlorine, 4-bromo, and then pent, again, we know the root word, well, we should know, right? The root word for 5 is going to be pent, okay? And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbons, so that's pent. Wow, let's look at this one. Oh, come on. So this one we have 2-bromo, 4-chloropentane. Now if you look, there's only one real difference here, and that is the switching of the bromo and the chloral. So I guess the main question is, which one is right? I hope you took some time to think about it. And again, this one is wrong, okay? Now this one is wrong because you want the alphabetical order does matter. So you want B comes before C in the alphabet, so you want B to come first. So you want your carbon with the bromine on carbon 2 due to the letter in front of it. Now when you have another thing that we need to go over, when you have multiple things, so let's say that we have a BR here. Now we have two BRs. We would change the name and do 1, 2 dibromo, okay? And you could keep going. So let's say that we added, let's say that we added a BR here too, right? So we would do 1, 2, 5 tribromo. So just keep that in mind, okay? And then that also goes in alphabetical order. Now, the last big thing about this chapter is there's a few molecules for the MCAT that you do need to know. And again, these are straight memorization. So you should definitely know all of these molecules by heart. And let me show you the significance of that. So let's say that you're given a molecule, I don't know, we're given this guy. And again, we go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, right? And we know that the proper way to count this, let's show you 1, 2, 3, 4, versus 1, 2, 3, 4. As we said earlier, we want the substituent here to be on the lowest number possible. So red is the correct way to count this and green is the incorrect way to count this. Okay, the way you would name this is again, 4, again, the prefix for 4 is bute, okay? So we would go like 2 isopropyl, okay? And again, you need to understand that this is an isopropyl group, and it'll just be butane. Okay, 2 isopropyl butane. And whatever I add on here, let's say I added a isobutyl group, then this would be 2 isobutyl butane. And just make sure you know these molecules, I would say, by heart. You could make a flashcard or something, but this is definitely something that you should know for the MCAT. Now, this is about it. This is all Kaplan covers in chapter 1.1. And I will say when it comes to naming, it is less about knowing how to draw every molecule and name every molecule, and more about knowing how to recognize molecules. On the MCAT, you will not be given a structure a lot of the times, you'll be given a name. And if you don't know how to convert that name to a structure, well, you're just gonna be pretty confused. So when you're going about your questions, I would recommend you to know how to look at a name and then draw a structure, rather than draw a structure and name it. So keep that in mind as you keep studying. Good luck, guys. Next video, we're going to go into chapter 1.2, which is all about alcohols. So